keep art alive?
No, quite frankly, I must confess that I have no idea who did that.
No, I've never seen this artwork before.
No, I don't know this artwork.
No, actually no. It's the first time that I see it.
No, frankly, I don't. This is the first time that I see this artwork.
First thing is that all creatures here are dying, are struggling. There is some source of light, but no one is caring about the sources of light. But all the existing all what exists in this drawing is dying. Animals, humans, and no one is caring about the other. And something that also catches my attention is that all the arms are broken. So I don't know if it's linked or no.
What catches my attention is that it gives that sense of chaos. I think it's a representative of war. There are too many animal figures, decapitated hands holding swords, chaos everywhere. I think that it illustrates war and chaos. I'm feeling some sensations such as violence, ugliness, atrocity. Yeah, that's it.
I can see the color choices since it's black and white. The animals and the humans, half humans, and I don't know. It's messy.
Yes, it's messy and it's the faces. Like there are a lot of faces with different expressions.
Well, when I first saw it, it was a bit chaotic because there are many details, and every time you look in a corner of the artwork, you will discover something new that you haven't seen in the first time. And what also caught my attention is that it's in black and white, and there are many things going on. There are many things happening. And so it's very complicated to understand what is the message behind this artwork.
Well, it's a very strange piece of artwork. I mean, the shapes, the forms of the different characters are like very artistic, very abstract. So they appear out of nothing, you know. And, yeah, it's very shocking as well as this art.
It's like a photo from hell, or I don't know. Like there are cut arms and like weird faces. It inspires sadness. I don't know.
There are heads cut, bull, horse, man, woman, and they all seem to have suffered. They seem in despair or scared. It's the last expression in the face shows people that are scared or suffering. This is all what I can say.
I like it because it made me think a lot of what is this and why they choose to do this and not this, why they choose the animals and the human suffering, or why the light is out there and the meaning of everything.
Me, I cannot say if I like it or not, but it makes me think too. That's it. Like.
To tell you the truth, it is not the kind of paintings that I appreciate the most, but clearly it's aesthetically it's mastered clearly. But it's not my Picasso is not, or this kind of painting is not my favorite.
Yeah, but it still expresses something. I don't know. Maybe there is a special idea here. Maybe of like when you see people who are suffering, there is something. I don't know.
Definitely not. It looks like an anime. Yes, I did. Especially that I'm thinking about it now. I think that it relates to our life, since all the youth is trying to figure out what is happening in their lifetime, while being confused, living in total chaos, and while being in war with themselves. They think with the world surrounding them. Yeah, it's a good artwork.
Well, I still need time at the first sight, no, but when seeing it, I can say there are some links. It will take me time to admire it.
Honestly, I don't like it because I don't find it aesthetic in any kind of way. So it's a bit disturbing for me, actually.
Yeah, I love it, but I think it's primarily because I like all of the surrealist artists of that time, and this is kind of like one of the most well-known pieces of art of this area, of this epoch.
What a hostile, atrocious, barbarian act we the so-called humans, to adopt. Under different lens and due to different circumstances, we're driven to it, diving into it. Stopping wars? This looks like a far unreachable goal, even though it's our creation and the repercussion of the creativity of some of the most morbid people of our species. War, despite the huge amount of fear, helplessness, and sadness it inspires, is attributed to some of the most noble status and expressions: love, bravery, patriotism, and sacrifice. Because when we do war, when we go for war, we go for it under the aforesaid circumstances to save, for example, the honor of our homeland, to come for help, or even sometimes to stop war. Or contradictory still real practices. Pablo reads Picasso, the well-known Spanish artist and the founder of the Cubist movement, has been intrigued by the repercussions of war. By the war itself, the world has witnessed in 1937 after Guernica's invasion by the Nazis and fascist armies. He decided, once asked by the Spanish Republican government to create a mural for the Spanish pavilion at the 1937 Paris World's Fair, to paint Guernica, which is now exhibited in the Museo Reina Sofia in Madrid under 3.49 by 7.76 meters dimensions. Guernica wasn't a simple artwork created by a normal artist. Guernica is a message to the world. A message conveyed by the grand cubist Picasso to represent his political statement that changed a lot for sure. Have lit the suffering of war's victims through the beautiful dark but enlightening layers of the painting. Guernica is intended for sure to make us think twice about the repercussions of war, about the poor kids left to their destiny after their parents' death, about the wounded soldiers and civilians who will remember that atrocity forever through their lamentable injuries, about us, a miserable species who couldn't cohabit on the same ground. Moving to the actual details of the painting, the first thing that captures our attention when seeing the painting for the first time is the style that has been adopted. The characters are drawn under the Cubist perspective, a style that the African art inspired Picasso to co-create with George Braque between 1907 and 1914. Cubism is an art movement that revolutionized European painting and sculpture and helped depict the subject of the artwork from a multitude of viewpoints to represent the subject in a greater context. Has been considered the most influential art movement of the 20th century. Getting back to the epic details of the mural, the black and white tone that Picasso conveyed to the painting was intended to denounce the unnecessary sufferings caused by the German fascist regime's bombing campaigns. A messy painting, with a lot of components, a lot of figures, and a lot of characters. Each one is trying to put across different missives. different perspectives of what is war, the total chaos, looks like. What about the lamp? The lamp releasing fire, flames, or maybe the light needed for a new revolution. The lamp, a product of technology, or in other words, the saint grail of the 20th century, that besides its benefits, had caused huge catastrophes. The two world wars may be too sufficient to imagine what I'm talking about. Moving to the human characters, women are present in the artwork with 4 figures. 4 women who are fighting against war, fighting for survival or sacrificing to protect their beloved ones. These women represent how a typical human reacts to war or to danger in general. In all cases, we try to save our lives or sometimes our well-being. And that's the reason for which we choose sometimes to die in order to save someone's life. A way for us to escape the long, infinite series of remorse. Women have been depicted under different circumstances. One of them is wailing towards the sky. Desperate, she's cradling her lifeless child in her arms. On the right, 2 women are fighting again, this time for their survival, for their own lives. One of them is already wounded. She's always trying to escape danger. She knows her life will never be how it used to look like. She continues to struggle. She's not ready for death. The other one, on the top right, is already agonizing. With no other chance, she tries to take the world with her through her desperate glance at that lamentable scene she's gonna quit forever. 3 women with different goals and different situations have one thing in common. They are all desperate victims of the nagging war. And against all expectations, we have a spark of optimism in the infinite darkness of the mural. A candle, or to be more precise, a woman enlightening the dark scene with that candle in her hand. A little candle that brings too much hope to the dark mural that couldn't get enlightened even with that triumphant lamp representing technology. Technology that kept bringing us to more desperate, gloomy, inescapable lose with life. Again, and on a sad note, Picasso tackled another category of people, the prime victims of war. Soldiers that have chosen, I don't know how, to be so. Maybe because of a deeper love they feel towards their patriots, a stronger sense of belonging, or sometimes despair. These are all strong feelings that can make us choose to be a soldier. That soldier that could be any one of us has been killing people. Guilty for him, innocent for the other camp. His weapon in his hand has been thinking of the little child he left at home, the broken woman he left, the desperate parents. He promised them to return, knowing that this was the first promise he would never be able to fulfill. That unlike a soldier that could be any one of us, is now laid on the floor. He's no longer here. Somewhere else, he's been contemplating how he and people like him have transformed the world. This bull is a bull and this horse is a horse. If you give a meaning to certain things in my paintings, it may be very true, but it's not my idea to give this meaning. What ideas and conclusions you have got, I obtain it too, but instinctively, unconsciously. I make the painting for the painting, I paint the objects for what they are. This was Picasso's response to people who have been intrigued by the 2 animals. Nevertheless, people have been attributing the horse to Spanish people, have been penetrated by a lens, the lens of war, and the Taurus to Spanish virtues and values. Finally, as a meticulous observer may remark, there is a discreet pigeon flying, a sign of peace, and a way for Picasso to say that war will end and that humanity will be able to overcome it as it's used to do. A work of art must make a man react. It must agitate him and shake him up. A quote of Picasso that sums it all up. Guernica had surely shaken us all with the death, the sadness, and despair it inspires. It surely remembers us of something we're familiar with. A war that has been shaking people's lives for decades in the Middle East or even in Ukraine newly, leaving us with a long series of thoughts and regrets on what could we have changed once, but we couldn't and will never be able to. Finding out that no matter what we do or we aspire to change, life seems unchangeable, and war seems a fatality we can never escape.